4, 3, 2, 1.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point you realize you married into crazy. And that's what our show is all about. If your marriage or relationship is compassionate, real, accountable, zealous and yielding, or just plain crazy, Snooks and Lovey offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as they unpack this thing called marriage. Sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy E.T. Look, if you're looking to or you got to raise the bar on your marriage, you gotta click the link and get into Married into Crazy, y'all. I'm telling you, this coaching is gonna take your relationship to another level. Now look, you already know you need to raise the bar. You know that already. So stop thinking or overthinking. Click that link, and Marriage into Crazy is gonna take you and your spouse to marital bliss. Now you know. Click the button. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. I'm Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
And Happy New Year. It's
Year.
2024.
It's 2024.
Is it wild to be able to say that?
It's wild that it's here, like right now, you know.
Yeah, it snuck up pretty quick on us. Before we get into this, I want to invite everyone to go to marriedintocrazy.com and look at all the different things that Snooks and I do to support relationships, to support marriage. There's a variety of things, and by supporting us, you're supporting the institution of marriage. So take a look and see how you might want to get involved with Married into Crazy. And of course, wherever you're listening to the podcast, please go in and leave a review if you can. As well as some comments. Let us know how we're doing. If there's topics that you want us to talk about, if there's anything that you think we can do better, I would always be open to that. She won't be, but I will be.
Okay, first of all, I know you're ashamed. Really? You're just going to talk about me like that?
I'm just going off experience. I'm just kind of saying, like when I offer things that I think she can do better, she doesn't want to hear it. So I'm just assuming that she doesn't want to hear what you have to say either.
Because why? Okay. So when you offer things that you feel like I could do better, air quotes, people, did I ask you first or did you just offer it up?
Well, that's the beauty of it.
No.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes or no?
It's the gift that keeps on giving. You don't even have to ask.
So that means you didn't ask. So it was unsolicited. We need a sticker.
What?
One of those door tabs that say no solicitors.
Okay, you know what? Okay, here's the thing.
Here's the deal.
We are coming up on 27 years of marriage. 27. At what point does the whole solicited advice thing go out the window?
It should have never been in the window. Should have never knocked. Should have never the shutters. Nothing.
This is just like, okay, back when I used to work at Home Depot, I used to work in window fashion. So I dealt with blinds, installed blinds and shutters and did wallpaper, all that stuff, right? It's pretty when you put it in the window. It's really nice.
Wallpaper?
No,
the
I'm
shutters?
And the blinds, all that.
Window treatments?
So the unsolicited advice is really a great thing. No?
No.
No. All right, well, yes, ma'am.
That is something that I thought we talked about the things that we're going to leave in 2023. I thought that was one of the things that we were going to leave.
Once again, one of those
unsolicited advice.
One of those conversations she had in her head, but didn't bother to involve me, but just assumed that the outcome was going to involve me.
You would have said no? Like, no, I don't want to leave that in 2023?
I think that was an unsolicited...
No. Whatever you're about to say.
No. Okay. No. Okay. And therein lies the topic of the day.
Unsolicited advice?
No.
Okay.
How to have a crazy marriage. Basically, crazy marriages last a long time.
How to have a crazy marriage. Marry a crazy person.
Absolutely. And for those of you that are the first...
In the true sense of the word.
Oh, okay. So for those of you that are new to the podcast, CRAZY stands for
compassionate,
real,
accountable,
zealous,
and yielding. So,
and sometimes crazy.
Sometimes just, 5150. So
No.
how to have say it again? How to have a crazy marriage?
Well, you know what? Crazy marriages last a long
The
time.
crazy marriages last a long time. So marriages that show that are compassionate, that are real, that are accountable, that are zealous, and that are yielding, those last a long time.
I think so, because if you look at our history over the last 27, let's say 28 years, because we were together, got stabbed, got married, but there was about a year in between. So there was, we got engaged after 4 months of meeting each other.
Mm-hmm.
After she told everybody I was a nerd and I wasn't her type,
Here we go.
Nerd had to bring game in order to get her to say yes 4 months in.
Yeah, you should bring game anyway. So
Should.
some people don't, right?
Some
You're right.
people don't.
You're right. Go ahead.
But I say all this because we've been through some stuff all the way up through last year. Our marriage has been nothing but amazing, yet tumultuous at times. And I think that a lot of your marriages across the world, based on all the couples that we've worked with across the world, actually, we've had clients in North America to include Canada, the United States, over in France, and the UK. And so I consider that the whole world. If you live outside of that, then you need to become a client so we can include you too. But I think everybody goes through stuff. And I have some examples of things where we've gone through some things and there were moments where we needed to be crazy. Maybe not all of them at the same time, but there are some instances. Take a look at the time that, before we even got married and I got stabbed. Mm-hmm. The news media was saying, it was a love triangle. And of course they had to retract that. We did get a retraction on that. But my family was, pointing fingers at you and nobody understood. And there was turmoil within my family. We're going to boycott the wedding and all this craziness. Mm-hmm. So during that period, how were you crazy?
I wasn't. I was 5150, but I wasn't compassionate, real. I was real, but compassionate, accountable, zealous, and yielding. I was not any of that. Actually, let me take that back. That's not true. I think I was very, I think I was crazy thinking back on it, because there were moments where I should have cussed everybody out. Everybody should have just got it, and nobody did, out of respect for you. I think I yielded a lot. I won't even say I think, I know I did. I yielded a lot. The zealousness, that was probably not even part of any equation. I'll say that. But I do believe that I at least compassionate, being real, maybe not as much, because I wasn't really being my true self. I won't say I wasn't being my true self. I was being my true self, but I didn't really get to speak my truth. Because number one, I felt like it would have fell on deaf ears. And then number two, like I said, everybody would just got cussed out. But I yielded a lot. And I think that was probably the thing that kind of set me off to where I was like, screw all of this. I'm over it, because I felt like I was doing too much yielding, to where now I'm out of character. And when I'm not my authentic self, what is that? When we do the disc, you talk about, not adapters. What is the other word? You're real, and then you're not real. Like, what is it? Not alternative. What is the gray? I can't think of the word.
But you're talking about your natural state or your adaptive.
Adaptive. And when you're too much in your adaptive, that's where the tension and the turmoil and all of that happens for me. I was way too much in my adaptive, and I could not be in my natural state. So I think that's where a lot of the problems were created.
No, and I'd have to agree with you because I believe in the first 4 years of our marriage, after everything, after building on that and us, getting through the stabbing and finally going on a honeymoon and doing all these different things, you yielded not just in the beginning when there was adversity and turmoil, but you yielded for 4 years, all the way up to the point where it was just too much. And she said, that's it, I'm out. I want a divorce. I'm not going to go into the story about how she did it at Morton's when she could have did it at Jack in the Box. But
why would I ever go to Jack in the Box for
or Taco
an
Bell
anniversary dinner?
or Chick-fil-A or whatever.
I didn't mean to say it at that point. I didn't know it was coming
at
out.
our 4-year anniversary. That was me.
Established that in like
That was
20 podcasts ago. So let that go.
I have to rehash it. We haven't gotten there yet with my therapist. We haven't gotten to that point yet. But when you take a look at year 4 and when you asked for the divorce, that's when you were like, that's it. I can't be in my adaptive state any longer. I have to, either you're going to go crazy, I mean, literally 5150, or, hurt somebody, or you had to actually assert yourself and move forward. And I think during that period as well, I was a little bit, not so much yielding. I was yielding to too many people. I yielded a little bit to you. I yielded a little bit to my mom. I yielded a little bit to my family. I yielded a little bit. It seemed like there was just too much of it going on. But it wasn't just about the yielding. I was trying to be accountable to too many different individuals, but not being accountable to our marriage. And that's where the A comes in, because remember, it's compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding. So, that was the divorce, right? And then we had to turn around and work our way through that. And you asked for divorce. I was moving out. And then we had to do a turnabout because she got laid off the day before I was actually moving out. I mean, y'all, I had a U-Haul truck, had a deposit on an apartment. This was Friday. Saturday morning, I was moving. And on Friday, I made a command decision when she got that pink slip and said that, her company was shutting down. I found compassion in the moment. Why are you laughing? This is my story, and this is how I'm telling it.
No. Go ahead. I know that this is your story. It's just go ahead.
But there was compassion because she had lost her job, and I was concerned that, because remember, I'm not the one who asked for the divorce, but I was done. I was like, okay, if you don't want it, then it's gone. But I stayed against her will. She did not want me to be there.
That's why I laughed. Because that's the only reason why I laughed.
There's compassion on my part.
I know, but it was funny.
And inconvenience on yours. Seriously, that's what I think it was.
I was like, bruh, just go. I didn't say it like that. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
But the funny thing, though, is that as God worked on us in that period through the coaching, through the counseling, through the therapy, through the working it out, through the roommate situation, God brought us through it, and we had to rediscover the zealousness that we had in the very beginning, that enthusiasm that we had for a relationship. There became a discovery thing. We got real, which meant that we weren't really dealing with outside entities any longer. We got real and said, what do we need to do in order for us to actually move forward as a couple? And we faced the reality of the situation, of the reality of, I needed to figure out how to be a husband. I think you had to a certain extent, figure out how to be a wife.
Well, I mean, a better one, because you were already a husband. I was already a wife, but we were not the husband and wife that we wanted to be. We were not the husband and wife that when we had our 3-hour talk on the couch that we said we would be. Things shifted. And it's one of those things where this is where the fight or flight situation. I mean, because you think about it, when you got stabbed, that just changed the trajectory of our relationship, of what we had going on. We were engaged, but our engagement wasn't about, oh, I'm so happy and I'm so, oh, la la land, let's go look at places, let's go. We were like okay, well, where we going? You know,
It was
okay,
all about
where we gonna
fight.
get? Where we gonna get married? Okay, well, we'll just do it here. It was almost like our wedding was like us settling for certain locations and venues or whatever, and what is that, menus and stuff like that, because we didn't do food tasting, cake tasting, whatever. Not that, I mean, our wedding cake was bomb anyway because Kim made it, but we didn't do any of that because a lot of our time was spent on doctor's appointments and doing counseling and, other than our regular, premarital counseling. We were talking about, post-traumatic stress counseling, stuff like that. We were dealing with a lot of that stuff. So we're like, oh, dang it, I forgot to order this or whatever. So we're just, okay, we'll just do this. Thinking back on it, that's kind of how we got married.
Right.
So I think I want a do-over.
I knew that was coming.
I
The
think I
moment
want a
she
do-over.
said cake tasting, I
I want to
knew
do that.
it was going to come up where she
I want to do that. I
wants to
want to do
taste-
that.
for a 30th.
For Thursday. I want to do it Thursday.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll figure that one out.
So the next podcast, y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all what cakes we tasted. No, I'm just playing.
No,
playing.
she's not playing. She does want to do the cake tasting and all of that.
I do, but I'm saying I'm playing as far as like for Thursday. I don't mean like I want to do it like right now. I do want to do that.
No, and you deserve that experience. You do. And I deserve the experience of being able to say, I don't care. So.
Didn't you say I don't care?
I did.
Okay. I'm just saying. I'm asking. But anyway, so I mean.
But that was just, okay, so that we're just talking about year 4, right? I mean, but there were so many other things, between job changes and then having children. That was a big deal, So we came into this with Kalen, already here. He was a year and a half.
He was 2.
When we met thereabouts.
Oh, no. When we got married,
he was 2 when we got married. 2. And, and then when you had your first real childbirth experience, there was a lot of compassion that's involved there. Men, I'm going to tell you right now, husbands, that you got to stand in the trenches with your spouse, and go through the Lamaze classes, the breathing and the preparation and reading the book, what to expect when you're expecting.
And the eating.
And yes, there is the sympathy eating. There are those 3:00 in the morning runs to Jack in the Box to get the jalapeno poppers. And no, you can't just get the pack of 4. You might as well get the 7. So that way you can sit there and eat with her at 3 a.m. and gain all your sympathy weight as well.
The sourdough Jack and the jalapeno poppers. Woo, that was my meal. That was my meal.
And things are cracking. And then after a while it became, instead of getting one order of those, it became 2 orders. Oh, let me get mine too. Yeah, I think I gained more weight than she did in the pregnancy. But then on top of that, so there's that when it comes to the being compassionate piece. But when I was talking about standing in the trenches, when you are standing there and she's actually giving birth, and then she leans over and bites your stomach.
Good Lord.
I have a scar.
Do you have your phone?
What do you want? What?
Because I was trying to find violin music. Are you serious right now? Good Lord.
There's compassion there. There's compassion.
I was compassionate. I didn't break your fingers or any of that.
No, she bit me.
I didn't curse at you. I just bit down.
She did curse at me.
I did not.
Not the first time.
I cussed at you with Kiki?
Yes, you did. And your mama was in the room and she got on you. Talking about,
No,
Ronnie,
I did not.
You did. You cussed and your mom got on you.
No, I did not.
Yes, she did. Yes, she
I don't
did.
remember that.
She was mad. She hated the nurse.
Oh, that was with Ashanti.
Was that Ashanti?
No, I didn't like neither one of my nurses.
But anyway, so but you do. I mean, we're joking, but there's going to be plenty of opportunities for you to demonstrate these different things, and that's why we talk about being married into crazy. These 5 pillars that we teach and work with our couples on, that we coach directly and also indirectly with Raise the B.A.R. There's a lot of principles in the video series that you can get over at raisethebarmarriage.com. But these 5 principles are going to resurface and come around all the time. There's always going to be an opportunity, regardless of the adversity or the situation that you're going through, to where you're going to be able to be more compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding.
So, but let's talk about how it helps your marriage, though.
Yeah, let's get into it.
How does it help your marriage? How does it help you? Tell me.
I have to be compassionate. To me, my perspective, specifically compassionate when I want to solve the problem and I can't because she won't let me. So
you're right. You're right.
So I need to be compassionate. Be like, okay, she didn't ask me for an answer. I'm still working on that. 27 years into it, I've gotten so much better.
You know your spouse, right? Especially, I mean, you've been together for a long time. When he walks in the room, there's a certain walk, there's a certain stance, there's a certain pause, and I'm like, I already know it's coming, so I have to be like, bae, nope. And he'll say no. I'm like, no. And he'll walk away. And that's the first time. Now we do this song and dance for a couple of times until I think typically I'm just like, go ahead and say it. Go ahead. Just get it out.
Ooh, that feels good because I'm like, ugh. I look like Usain Bolt sitting in the blocks, just coming out for that 100-meter race. As soon as she says go, bam, I'm out the blocks. Here we go. And here's how we're going to fix it. And here's what you need to do.
And I just do it just because I know that he has a need to fix it. And most of the time, like I say, I'll start out like, I'm like, I don't want to hear it. But then, because now I'm being compassionate because I'm trying to, I know that's Lovey's strong suit, you know. First of all, he's man. So, you know, a lot of men, they're fixers. Well, all you got to do is, you know, is XYZ, or if you look at it this way and da-da-da-da. So I'm being compassionate and I'm letting him, I'm putting myself in his shoes and thinking, if there was a situation that I felt like he could use a little bit of assistance with, I would want to help him, you know. And so I'm compassionate while I let you go ahead and do that. But the other part of it is too, I had to really change my mindset on his helping, because initially, just being very transparent, I always felt like, well, do you think I'm dumb or something? I think we talked about this a long time ago, but his helping to me was almost like he thought I don't have the brain with the to figure it out. And I'm like, bro, I'm not stupid. And so it was one of those things. I would take it personal because number one, I didn't ask you. Number two, I'm not dumb. And so he'd be like, babe, I'm on your side. And I would hate that. Don't be, babe, I'm on your side. Because I'm like, now you're patronizing me, you know. I'm like, oh, now I'm the crazy lady or whatever. So I had to really reevaluate my feelings for his helping. And that was one thing that being compassionate really helped me with that.
And it blends into the real.
You're welcome.
Ooh, the conversation after the conversation is going to be a good one. No, but everything you're talking about right there, like as far as you thought I was infringing on your independence.
That's a good way to say it.
And that's what was going on, a conversation that was in her head. Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, I've done the exact same thing. Like, oh, okay, well, you're infringing on my masculinity because you won't let me lead. So there are these things that we're going, we both have these dialogues that are taking place, and they're only happening in our heads. Mm-hmm. And so that's when we get into the real, to really talk about how, let's really get into the real of it, the reality of it, not the thing we're making up in our heads that we're making assumptions about, but the reality of the situation. What is real? Mm-hmm. What does this situation call for?
Right.
And that's when she was saying over time, it wasn't just her. And over time, I as well, as much as I'd like to believe that I have all the solutions, sometimes even if you have the solution, that doesn't mean that it's appropriate to thrust that solution, because, you know, you can have answers to the test, but if a person's not ready to understand it, then it's just regurgitation. It's not actually wisdom. And if I force her or push her through, an opening that can provide a solution, she's not focused on the solution. She's focused on the fact that I pushed her through a window or what have you. Right. And we completely lose sight of the solution. And so there's compassion in that, but there's also reality, right? The real of knowing the situation, or at least trying to recognize it to the best ability that you have, and focusing on that, not the conversation in my head, being able to stop and say, okay, what's really going on right now? Because I guarantee there are times I'm driving home where I'm like, oh, and then she's going to say this. And then, the moment she says that, I'm going to say this. Yeah, I got that zinger. I'm going to come back with this. And it's going to break her down. And she's going to be like, yes, please lead me through my life. Tell me what you need me to do. You're the man.
That's so cute. Break me down. Okay.
No, but you know what I mean? But there's this whole fiction, this narrative that goes on in our heads. And we have to get away from that and really focus on the reality of what's truly going on.
Well, I feel like, to me, I feel like that's when we get in that space, that comes back to me being able to let my guard down. It's like there's this whole pretense. That's kind of how I feel like. Well, why do I feel like that? Why did I? So now it's still, the onus is still going to come back on me, like wondering, why do I feel that way? What is it about him helping or him saying this or her doing that makes me respond or react this way? So maybe we need to check. I won't say maybe, we do. We need to check within first before we say something outwardly. Let me evaluate why I feel like that's going to be the response. Is it past practice? Did what has happened before, blah, 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 whatever. So we need to dig deeper within our own selves before we start, you come in slamming the door and you be, okay, I'm good to go. What's up? And I'm like, hey, how was your day? And, no, you're just sitting there waiting for the shoe to drop.
Right. And that's very real. That's very real. And I don't think there's anything else to really say about that right now, but I will say this, that there's an accountability. That's the A, right? C.R.A. The A.
Yeah.
Yeah. The A is accountability. And I think the greatest challenge that we had was being accountable to each other and not to, let me put it this way. I'm not going to put that on you. I won't put that on you. The greatest challenge I had was, and I think a lot of individuals do, just based on the couples that we've worked with and over the years, we're not accountable to each other or accountable directly to our covenant. We're accountable to what we think the marriage is supposed to look like based on the model that was set for us. We're more accountable to our families and what our friends think about us. You're accountable to your boys. You're accountable to your girls. Oh, do you gonna let him talk to you like that?
I was getting ready to say that because and that's so true. Just based on those type of conversations, girl, I would never blah 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 whatever. So even if I didn't have a problem with it, now I have a problem with it because you said I would never da 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 da. So now I'm responding or reacting based on somebody who don't even live in my house said.
Right. There's TikTok and Instagram full of these videos and memes of, the guys are all together and the girl calls, hey babe, when you gonna come home? And then he want to front talking about, I'm gonna come home when I want to come home.
Then on the side, I love you, bye.
Right. Exactly. Because you're fronting, and that in itself, because there's accountability to the people that are in the room as opposed to the people that's in your home. Mm-hmm. And you got to make sure that first and foremost that you're in the right room. We talk about from a business perspective, you want to be in the room with those individuals, but you want to be in the right room.
I was about to say, you can be in any room, but like you said, if it ain't the right room, it's wasted your time.
And I can just say from personal experience that accountability, to my family, it's not my whole family, but to certain individuals within my family, cost us.
It was his whole family. No.
It wasn't.
I'm playing.
I wonder if any of my family even listens to the podcast, because I'm sure they'd be like, our phone would be like just off the hook. Ring, ring, ring. Like, I can't believe. And what does she mean by that? What does she mean by that? But realistically, it's being accountable to the wrong individuals is always going to cause harm to your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And look, let's keep it real. There's some individuals. There's a lot. We are a blended family, and because Kaylin was born, I was a single parent when we met.
We were not a blended family. I don't know why that offends me. That offends me.
Well, I mean, just
Don't
from the
ever say
terms.
that.
No, but I mean from the terms.
I know, but
the definition.
I don't care what nobody say.
We weren't blended, but I'm just saying. But from a blended family perspective, as far as just the definition itself, the textbook definition, that there are people out there that have children and they get married later in life or remarried, and it's about them and their kids because they've been riding with each other for so long and so responsible, whether it was a single mother, single father, what have you. You're accountable to your children before you're accountable to your spouse. That wasn't our case, but we know plenty of people where it was like, well, if they talk to my kid a certain way, or no, I'll be the one to discipline them. I'll be the one to do X, Y, Z. You don't talk to my child like that. Da, 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 da. There's an accountability that's being built into that relationship that isn't the accountability that God created the institution on. The original institution of marriage was made by God between Adam, Eve, first man, first woman. It wasn't, okay, when Cain and Abel come along, I need y'all to make sure you put them first. Mm-hmm. It was spouse. It was husband and wife. It was to each other. And we somewhere along the lines in society, we've lost sight of that. And we need to make sure that it remains that way. The accountability has to be to each other.
Well, and I feel like too, I always feel like that there is a trust factor built into that. Like, if I feel like you're being unfair or you're going to treat my kid a certain kind of way, then this is just me. Then I feel like that is the response that I would give, because if I don't say that to you, why are you talking to my kid like that? I mean, if
she does,
if I feel like I'm coming with it, if I feel like Lovey is being too harsh, or if he didn't even need to, I'm like, why you even do that? I'll say something, but not in a way of saying, well, because there are kids, but still, I'm like asking, why are you doing that? What is the reason for blah, blah, blah? And we'll have a conversation, and maybe we're not the people to speak on something like that, because like I said, I know that I didn't give birth to Kaylin, but he was 1 year old when Lovey and I got together. So for all intents and purposes, that was my son, and no one would ever know that he was not biologically mine unless we told it. Whenever I said, oh, how many kids you got? I have 3 kids. We have a son and we have 2 daughters, and that's how it's always been. Mm-hmm. So he was never like, oh, that's my stepson. I would slap somebody if they ever said that to me.
Yeah, we don't do step.
That's your stepson. How dare you? I raised him. He was mine.
Yeah, we don't believe in step, half, this, that, and the other.
That's just me. I'm emotional. So.
In-laws, all that. I got brothers and sisters, period. Well, okay, look, let me call some folks out real quick. This is so funny because I love how over the years they would look at Kayla and look at Snooks. Oh, I see the resemblance. Oh, yeah.
We did get that. We got that.
We would just smile.
You look like, I do see, And I look at him and he just kind of, he laughed.
That's always funny. That's always
funny. I remember we went to, he and I went to a store. He was little. He was like 3. We went to a store and this lady said, she was looking at him and she said, is that your son? She was I think she was a Chinese lady. She was a little older lady. She said, is that your son? And I said, yeah. And so she looked at me. She looked at him. She said, his daddy white, huh? I said, excuse me? She said, his daddy white, huh? He daddy white, huh? I said, oh, his father's not white. His father's black. And so she looked at him again, and she looked at me, and then she motioned, his daddy white.
That's funny. I remember you telling me that too. I remember you telling me that. But look, but there is an accountability, and I love for everybody to reflect on that. Who are you accountable to in your marriage? Mm-hmm. Who are you accountable to? And to your point, when you're talking about the level of respect that's actually built up, I'm just going to keep it real. I know that a lot of people want to be married. They want to be together. They want a partner in life. But I'm going to call it for what I see. If there's a trust factor and you can't trust them around your kid, or you don't want them raising your kid, then they shouldn't be in your home.
In your home. I feel the same way.
You shouldn't be getting married. There should be no I do's before God if you're concerned about how they're going to be around your kids. Mm-hmm. That's a problem. That's a problem. And yeah, you know what? Tell your auntie, tell your cousin. Yeah, Lovey said it. No, but I mean, that's something to consider as well. Now, if you're already in a situation, then it's up to you to get the coaching, the counseling to figure out how do we improve our situation to build that trust. Mm-hmm. You know, we've been trained level 1, level 2 in the Gottman couples method of therapy and couples therapy. And, you know, one of the things we talk about is a sound relationship house. And one of the walls, you're talking about building a home. One of the walls is trust. You know, commitment's on one side, trust is on the other. And if you don't have solid weight-bearing walls, which the wall of trust will bear some weight, you know, as well as commitment, just life in general. There's going to be a lot of situations where the trust has to be there. But that's a topic for another day. But make sure you know who your accountability is to in your marriage. You know, and the one that people probably get confused most about, particularly the couples that we deal with, are, you know, the Z, zealousness. You know, I didn't bring up a dictionary, but, you know, equate zealousness to enthusiasm.
Well, and it should be enthusiasm, and it is, you know, because it actually means that, you know, to be zealous. But think of it in a different kind of way. Think of having that zealousness for your partner. That is also a connection to passion. So, you know, we want to be passionate. We want to have passion in our relationship. We got to be zealous. You know what I mean?
No, I get that.
We can be all dry and still. Come on, we passionate. I mean, you know, you have to have that drive to. It has to be ongoing. It has to be.
It's got to be more than that Ferris Bueller teacher. Bueller.
I was like, what are you talking
Bueller.
about?
I was like, I love you. I love you.
Yeah. You know, think of the Z as the throughput from which passion comes.
I like that. Because truth be told, we're passionate about so many other things. Like we were talking, I'm passionate about trying to give her the answers to the test, you know, and I have to temper that, right? Until she says, all right, go.
Answers to the test.
Well, yeah.
Cut it out.
But you know what I mean? You come in, you want to fix things, but there's a zealousness, but we're also very zealous and very enthusiastic about when we want to point out how our spouse is wrong.
Did something wrong. Mm-hmm. So, when I got a point to make, I can't wait for this brother to come home so I could tell him, or I can't wait for her to, so I let her know, whatever, however it's going, we real up on our toes about those kind of things.
So take that energy and apply it to being zealous for your love, zealous for that passion that you were talking about. Yeah. Refining that passion, particularly when you get older. Life has a way of dealing with things. We're still in the process of refining our passion and our intimacy, you know, after, you know, the blows that we've taken over the course of the last year. You know, but we're passionate about loving each other. We're zealous in the respect of we're very enthusiastic about being there for each other and looking for opportunities to stand in the gap for each other. Because we went to church to hear a friend talk. Was that yesterday?
It was today. Yeah.
It was yesterday. I don't know why it feels like a week ago.
I was like, wait, what's today?
But we went to church yesterday, and it was so nice to be in the house of God. But I'm used to, more times than not, Snooks is the emotional one, and she's crying, and I'm there for her, and consoling her. And then just there, as the word was being brought, I just was overwhelmed and missing our son. And I just couldn't hold it back. They were singing and I was just crying. And she put her arm around me. And there's a zealousness involved with being there for your spouse. She enthusiastically, and it's probably not the right word, but she was very compassionate and enthusiastic, and making sure she wrapped her arms around me and held me up when I needed her to. And then turnabout's fair play, because then moments later, then it was shifting. It's this ebb and flow. But having the zealousness and the enthusiasm to be willing to stand the gap for each other, regardless of what the situation may be.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And like you said, it kind of that it's a trip. How I won't even say it's a trip, but it's like these all are. They could be very interconnected, because being zealous is also being zealous for let me reach out, let me do whatever, showing I can do that in compassion, have compassion with that. I'm trying to say it, and I'm probably saying it incorrectly, but
they do. They overlap. It's not like these are all stand. It's just like the DISC assessment. When we're working with couples and facilitating DISC and walking them through the different components of it, the different preferences and tendencies that go along with like the flight assessment. Specifically, it's the DISC assessment, but it is really the flight assessment that I use that incorporates DISC. And this is something that we got directly from Dr. Eric Thomas in our extreme execution training. And it's by far the best that I've had in corporate. I've actually extended it to corporate and shared it with individuals, and it's amazing. But we talk about how no one is strictly a pilot or a flight attendant or a grounds crew or an air traffic controller. Now, those terms may confuse you, but they correlate to the traditional DISC, right? That was developed by Dr. Marsden, but, over like 60, 70 years ago. But it's one of those things that you're never wholly just one thing. You're a blend of all these different things, and it's situational. Same thing when it comes to crazy. It's not like you're going to be just strictly compassionate in this moment without any zealousness or without having any ability to yield. So don't think these are all standalones. They're going to pop up, and you're going to flow in and out of all these different pillars, if you will, of what it means to be crazy. Mm-hmm. And then in itself, that's another component of being yielding, recognizing that one will give away to the other.
Yeah, yielding is about and that opens up for compromising,
and submission.
Yeah.
She said, yeah.
You do submit. I like it.
No, but it is very yielding, and we've had to yield time and time and time again.
Yielding is not just a one-time thing. Yielding is going to be something that is done over and over again. So there's a conversation that I had with our oldest daughter, and thanks. With our oldest daughter, and why do I always have to be the one to blah, 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 whatever. And I'm always da-da-da-da. And, I'm tired of that. And I was like, well, I mean, you're yielding. I'm tired of yielding. Okay, then don't do it, And then when she doesn't do it, it doesn't feel right to her because that's not who she is, Yielding is about compromising, and it's about, and I'm like, is it important to you? Well, yeah. Okay, then do it. Stop keeping score. I feel like a lot of individuals and couples, well, I always got to be the one to, what's more important? What's more important?
And we do it all the time. It's just not called yielding, or we don't think of it as yielding. Look, you go to work.
We do it all the time.
All the time. You go to work, or you have a career, even if you're the CEO, you yield to the board of directors. You yield to the directors that you put in place because they might have a better insight or a better perspective on what the challenge is that's facing the company. You yield if you break the law, and you have to yield to law enforcement. You yield when You go to a restaurant and they tell you that XYZ is no longer on the menu. You yield and select something else. We yield all the time. But the moment you have to yield in your relationship, not just you, I'm just saying in general, but there's a problem. Oh, I got a problem with being submissive, or I've got a problem with yielding, or why's it got to be that way, what have you? But you do it everywhere else.
So maybe it's not, I mean, it's, I feel like the change needs to come with, excuse me, how you think of that word. It's not a bad word. You know, yielding is not a bad thing. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you a punk. It doesn't make you, whatever derogatory thing that you feel like you know. There's a difference between yielding and just being a doormat. No one's saying that. You know, what's most important? What do we say? Do you want the relationship or do you want to be right? If the relationship is the most important thing, then I feel like you may not have a problem with yielding, barring abuse. And it really does. It is situational. I know, making it sound like it's so easy. It's not.
It's not.
It really isn't.
Especially when she's wrong.
But if both partners practice the art of yielding, then there really would not be this whole struggle. You know, it's a lot of times I feel like it's about who wants the power, who wants to be in charge, who wants to have, you know, that's because I said it, or, you know, how we are perceived in our relationships. I run this relationship. I'm the head of the household or whatever, you know. A lot of times I feel like that's where the problem comes down with yielding, is because it's that power struggle, you know. And again, I'm making it sound like it's very easy, because there are some things that, no, I'm not yielding to that. If it causes me to break
To compromise
my morals and values and things like that, absolutely not. I'm absolutely not going to yield. But then at the same time, I'm hoping that I'm not put in a position by my spouse to do that anyway, because that's not who you should be. You should never put me in a situation where I have to compromise my morals and my values. You know, that should not even be a thing. But it is for some folk. You know, that's a reality for some people.
It is. I mean, I'll tell you right now, Gabrielle Union come knocking on the door. There's some morals that's going to be compromised. Not just playing.
That's okay, because she bringing Idris for me.
And it's so funny we say this, and I hope nobody takes it. I mean, we're joking. This is all in jest.
I wish somebody would.
Because we would love to interview Gabrielle and Dwayne and Idris and his wife as well. So, hey, so I'm throwing it out there. No, but it's one of those things where there's an opportunity for you to truly be crazy, to be a crazy wife, to be a crazy husband, to be a crazy couple. And it doesn't stop at 27 years. I hope to be more crazy in our 28th year, 29th year, 30th year than I was this year. I want...
Last year, you mean? Or, well, this year just started. Sorry.
See, look,
I'm trying to help.
But I'm just saying that I want 30-year married, you know, Lovey to be thankful for 27-year married Lovey, you know, to the point where it's like, oh, I'm even more crazy now than I was before. Because it does. The crazier you get in your marriage, the bigger dividends that are yielded. We talked about yielding, right? We talked about yielding. Sex is so much better when you yield. I love it when she takes charge and I'm like, hey, no. But there is yielding.
I'm sorry,
let's keep it real. There is, again, there's real. There's yielding because it's like, oh, you know, slow down. Oh, go faster. Oh, that not just that, but then also I like it here.
About?
I like it there. I'm just talking about sex.
Gosh.
So I'm going, I'm like, there's yielding, like, oh, I want it, because your mind tells you I'm gonna go this direction, and then she's like, oh, nope. Or the husband's like, oh, can you try it this way? Whatever. There's yielding. You don't mind yielding then. She gets mad because I always bring it back to sex.
Oh my gosh. I cannot believe.
And we still maintain our PG rating. Anyway, hey, look, we just really wanted to say, as we're going into 2024, today is day one of 2024. And this podcast will be released on Wednesday, the day before our 27th anniversary. We wanted to say Happy New Year, but there's room to have a crazy 2024 in your relationship. Let's have 2024 be the craziest year yet when it comes to being married. Based on what we've shared, being more compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding.
Amen.
I wish we had the rights to the song, or at least I'd play Prince's Let's Go Crazy, right about now.
We can't do that.
Not if we want to keep the podcast and stay out of jail.
I mean, not that you just had to say we don't own the rights to this music.
I got to figure that out.
So
Somebody knows.
I was about to say that. Go ahead.
No, if any of y'all know the rules around that, feel free to send it over to us. I should know, but.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Anyway, look, we're just rambling at this point. Look, thank you for listening with us. Continue to rock with us going forward. We have a lot of interviews that are planned, a lot of exciting things happening this year. Don't forget to go into the show notes, click on those links, and take a look and see what can actually help you to benefit you in your marriage so that you can be crazier than you've ever been before. So until the next time,
be blessed.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Married Into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. Please like, subscribe to, and review the show wherever you access it, and tell a friend about us. Visit marriedintocrazy.com and see how Snooks and Lovey can bless your marriage directly.